Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Gen X Dad and his Gen Z Teens podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that might make some of us a little uneasy, but trust me, it's so important. We're talking about money, how to talk about it with your teens, why it matters, and why those conversations can't wait. So let's get into it. Now, if you're a Gen X parent like me, you probably grew up with the idea that money talks were just something you avoided and left for later. I mean, the advice we often got was just work hard, keep your head down, and you'll figure it out. But things have changed, and today's Gen Z teens face a whole new set of financial challenges that we didn't have to deal with growing up. With everything from student loans to credit cards and the rising cost of living, we can't afford to put off these discussions anymore. So here's the deal. The earlier we talk about money with our kids, the better. And I'm not talking about just handing them a wallet and saying, go to the store and don't blow it. I'm talking about teaching them financial literacy. Things like budgeting, saving, and understanding how money works beyond just spend or save. Look, we've all been there, making financial mistakes when we were young because we didn't have the right guidance. I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten into bad habits just because no one really sat me down and explained how important it is to think ahead, especially with things like credit or debt. And that's the reality for our kids too. But the good news is we have a chance to help them avoid those mistakes. So, what should we actually be teaching our teens? Well, for starters, budgeting. Simple, right? But it's a skill they'll need for life. The earlier they learn that income isn't just money to burn, the better. I always tell my kids, it's not about how much you make, it's about how you manage what you have. This means showing them how to plan for things like food, clothes, and saving for the future. Whether that's for college, a car, or something else. And it's not just about saving. It's also about showing them how to make money work for them. For example, we're talking about how interest rates work, or even how investing can help your money grow. Sure, they might not get into stocks right now, but understanding the basics early on means they're more likely to start thinking about the bigger picture when they're older. There's a bigger lesson in all of this too. One of the biggest things I try to teach my teens is the concept of credit. It's a tricky one, right? But it's something they absolutely have to understand. A lot of kids today think of credit cards as free money, which couldn't be further from the truth. Credit is a tool, but it's one you have to use wisely. So we talk about how credit cards work, how credit scores are determined, and how quickly debt can spiral out of control if you're not careful. Speaking of debt, it's not just about credit cards. I think we've all had to talk about student loans, right? So many teens today are staring down the barrel of potentially huge amounts of student debt. I mean, it's insane how much college costs now compared to what it used to be. But even if your kids aren't heading to college, they need to know how loans work, how interest accrues, and why getting into debt for the wrong reasons can be a serious trap. But I don't want this to sound like all doom and gloom. It's not just about teaching them how to avoid debt and how to be careful with money. It's also about encouraging them to take smart risks with their money. Whether that's opening a savings account, starting a side hustle, or even saving for something big like a vacation or a car. Having them set up financial goals and work toward them is a huge part of growing up. Now, I know this can feel like a tough subject to bring up, especially if money wasn't something your family talked about openly. But trust me, if you make it a part of everyday conversations, it becomes way less awkward. I found that the more casual we make these discussions, the more willing my teens are to ask questions and share their experiences or their concerns about money. So my advice to you is simple. Start the conversation early. Don't wait until they're in college. Don't wait until they're handling their own bills. Money is a part of everyday life, and it should be a part of your everyday conversations. Whether you're talking about budgeting for a vacation, saving for the future, or how to handle a credit card, just make sure you're talking about it. So that's all for today's episode of the Gen X Dad and his Gen Z teens. I hope this helps spark some ideas on how you can start those important conversations about money with your teens. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, let's keep talking and let's keep teaching.